These aren't just any pennies, they're the hidden treasures of American coinage. From legendary key dates to mind-blowing mint errors, these coins are breaking records at auctions and making ordinary people rich overnight. Imagine finding one in your change jar, your old piggy bank. I'm talking about the legendary 1982 copper Lincoln penny. These rare coins are hiding in plain sight, and today, I'm going to show you exactly which ones to look for, how to tell if yours is the valuable version, and the secrets behind their history. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around until the end, because the last coin I'm going to reveal broke all the rules and sold for a jaw-dropping price. Scroll the history of the 1982 Lincoln penny. The Lincoln cent has been in production since 1909, but 1982 stands out as one of the most historically important years in U.S. coinage. It was the year the mint changed the penny's composition. Before 1982, pennies were made of 95% copper and weighed 3.11 grams. After mid-1982, pennies switched to 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating, weighing 2.5 grams. Here's where it gets interesting. 1982 wasn't a clean cutoff. Both copper and zinc pennies were minted that year, and the mint also used two different date sizes, small date and large date. That means there are 7 known 1982 penny varieties, and one of them is insanely rare and valuable. Fire the rarest of the rare, the 1982 D small date copper penny. Why it's so valuable, value in the market, even circulated examples, $5,000 to $15,000. Mint state, MS65 and above $20,000 to $35,000. Top-graded examples have sold for over $50,000 at auction. Other rare 1982 penny errors worth big money. Even if you don't have the ultra-rare 1982 D small date copper, there are other valuable errors to watch for. Double die obverse, DDO. Value, $200 to $3,000 plus depending on strength and grade. Double die reverse, DDR, value, $150 to $2,500. Off-center strikes, minor off-centers, $50 to $150. Major off-centers with full date, $500 to $2,500. Wrong planchet strikes, value, $1,000 to $10,000. Clipped planchet, value, $50 to $500 depending on size and condition. Chart increasing famous auction sales of 1982 pennies. 1982 D small date copper MS63 $18,800. 1982 D small date copper MS65 $35,000. 1982 D small date copper MS67 $55,000. 1982 small date copper DDO MS66 $5,750. 1982 off-center copper MS65 $1,850. But there's one very special 1983 Lincoln penny that collectors are paying up to $60,000 for, and it could be sitting in your pocket without you even knowing it. This coin wasn't supposed to exist. In fact, it's a mistake, a happy accident, a survivor from a time when the US Mint changed history. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what makes this coin so rare, how to identify it in seconds, and the story of the lucky people who struck gold with just 1 cent. The year 1983 was only the second full year after one of the biggest changes in U.S. penny history. In 1982, the U.S. Mint switched from a 95% copper composition to a cheaper 97.5% zinc composition with a thin copper plating. This was because copper prices had risen so high that making pennies out of copper was costing the mint more than 1 cent per coin. Sometime in early 1983, a small number of leftover copper planchets from 1982 accidentally made their way into the coin presses at the Philadelphia Mint. These 1983 copper pennies are not just unusual, they're transitional errors. That means they were struck using an old metal composition from a previous year, after the mint had officially switched to the new standard. Why it's so valuable, transitional errors are extremely rare in modern coinage. Most have been pulled from circulation and are in strong collector hands. Only a handful are known to exist. Balance scale. Collision. The famous 1983 double die reverse penny. Values, regular zinc DDR, $100 to $300 in circulated grades. Mint state DDR, $500 to $1,500 plus. DDR on copper planchet, $15,000 to $30,000. Chart increasing auction records for the 1983 copper penny. Here's where it gets exciting. Real-life sales show just how serious collectors are. 2013-1983 copper penny MS62 VBN $23,500, 2017-1983 copper penny DDR MS65 RD $28,200, 2019-1983 D copper penny 55 billion Australian dollars $17,625, 2021-1983 copper penny MS65 RD $31,200, 2022-1983 copper DDR penny MS66 RD $48,000, 2023-1983 copper DDR penny MS67 RD $60,000. Brain why transitional errors like the 1983 copper penny are so valuable. Collectors love them because they tell a story of a major change in US coinage. They're a true accident, not a variety intentionally made by the mint. They're incredibly hard to find because so few exist. The 1981 Lincoln penny is making that dream a reality. And guess what? Millions of these pennies are still hiding in jars, drawers, and coin rolls right now. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what makes certain 1981 pennies worth a fortune, how to spot the rare ones, and why a tiny minting detail could turn your spare change into a jackpot. Stay tuned, because the last coin I'll show you is a record breaker you do not want to miss. 81 is a special year in US coinage history. It was the final full year that pennies were made mostly of copper. In 1982, the U.S. Mint switched to a zinc core, 97.5% zinc, 2.5% copper plating, to save money. But in 1981, they were still striking pennies in copper, and a few rare varieties and mint errors from that year have become extremely valuable. Magnifying glass tilted left why some 1981 pennies are so valuable. While regular circulation pennies from 1981 are common, the proof coins minted for collectors have a twist. Type 1, filled S. The S mint mark, for San Francisco, looks blurry or filled in because of the older punch style. Type 2, clear S. The S mint mark is sharp and well-defined, the result of a new mint mark punch. Why it matters: Type 2 proofs are much scarcer than Type 1, and collectors pay a premium for pristine examples. Value range: Type 1 proof, PR69 DCAM $50 to $100. Type 2 proof, PR70 DCAM $2,000 to $10,000 plus. Rare cameo deep mirror examples can push $15,000 to $20,000 at auction. Collision major 1981 Lincoln penny era varieties. Here's where things get exciting. These are the coins that can reach $35,000 in the right condition. Off-center strikes occurs when the coin is not aligned correctly in the press. Minor, 5% off $50 to $100. Major, 50% plus off with full date $1,000 to $3,500. Double die obverse, DDO, strong doubling in high grade, $5,000 to $15,000. Double die reverse, DDR, rare DDR examples in MS67 can reach $5,000 plus. Struck on wrong planchet, value, $10,000 to $35,000 depending on rarity. Clipped planchet, small clip, $50 to $150. Large clip, uncirculated, $500 to $1,200. Broad strike error, value, $100 to $500 depending on condition. There's one 1985 Lincoln penny, a coin you've probably handled a dozen times without realizing it, that's worth up to $33,000. And here's the kicker: it's not a proof, it's not gold, and it wasn't even supposed to exist. This coin is a mistake, a ghost from the past, a survivor of an era that the US Mint thought was gone forever. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to spot it, why it's so rare. To understand why the 1985 copper Lincoln penny is so rare, we have to rewind a few years. Before 1982, all US pennies were made of 95% copper and weighed 3.11 grams. But rising copper prices made them too expensive to produce, so the mint switched to zinc planchets, 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating, weighing just 2.5 grams. By 1983, every penny coming out of the mint should have been zinc. Copper cents were officially a thing of the past. The rare 1985 copper penny, a transitional error. This coin is what numismatists call a transitional error, struck on a copper planchet from an earlier era after the official switch to zinc had already happened. Here's why it's valuable. Transitional errors are a big deal in coin collecting because they're genuine mint mistakes, not varieties intentionally made. Very few are known, maybe just a handful have been authenticated. They can only be proven by weight testing and professional certification. 1985 copper penny values. Values depend heavily on condition and proof of authenticity. F12, $5,000 to $7,000 extremely fine, XF40, $8,000 to $12,000 about uncirculated, $50 to $58, $12,000 to $18,000 mint state, MS60 to MS65, $18,000 to $33,000 plus. Why transitional errors like the 1985 copper penny are so valuable, unintentional, they're genuine mint accidents. Historic, they capture a shift in U.S. coinage history. Scarce, a handful exist compared to hundreds of millions of regular strikes. Collector demand, transitional errors are a holy grail for Lincoln cent specialists. This is the story of a rare 1989 Lincoln penny that should never have been made, a coin born out of a minting mistake so rare that collectors are willing to pay up to $28,100 for the right one. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to identify it, why it's so valuable, and how just a few people have struck gold with a coin worth thousands hiding in plain sight. Stay until the end, because your next grocery store penny could be your lottery ticket. On the surface, the 1989 penny seems common, billions minted means it's everywhere, but the rare copper version from 1989 is a different story. Before mid-1982, all U.S. pennies were made of 95% copper, 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams. But copper prices rose so high that producing them cost more than 1 cent each. In mid-1982, the U.S. Mint switched to copper-plated zinc planchets, 97.5% zinc core with a thin copper layer. Weight, 2.5 grams. By 1983, copper planchets were officially gone from production. So how could a 1989 copper penny exist? The answer, transitional error. Warning: the 1989 copper transitional error penny. A transitional error happens when a coin is struck on a planchet meant for an earlier year or different metal composition. In this case, a leftover copper planchet from pre-1983 somehow got mixed into 1989 penny production. Instead of being zinc, this rare coin is solid copper. It weighs about 3.11 grams, not the usual 2.5 grams. These are extremely rare, likely fewer than a dozen verified examples exist. Value breakdown: 1989 copper penny. Values are based on condition and whether the coin has been certified. F12, $4,500 to $6,000 extremely fine, XF40, $6,500 to $10,720 about uncirculated, $50 to $58, $10,720 to $15,220 mint state, MS60 to MS65, $15,220 to $28,100 plus.